नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददान्ति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं राधा कृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। अष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरं योऽन्तःप्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसूप्तां सञ्जीवयति अखिल शक्तिधरस्वधाम्नां अन्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणां नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं। तमादिदेवं करुणानिधानं तमालवर्णं पुरुष सुविदावतारम् अपार संसार समुद्र सेतुं भजामहे भागवत स्वरूपम् परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवर्षी अक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुमे। सदा सेव्या श्रीमद्भागवती कथा यस्य श्रवणमात्रेण हरिश्चित्तं समाश्रयेत्। हरि ओम तत्सत्। हरे कृष्णा। Welcome all the devotees for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reading from first canto and second chapter, 17th verse. Okay, I will share the screen.
Second canto.
Second canto, first chapter and
17th
17.
verse.
Yeah. Okay. Hari Bol. Thank you for the correction, Madaji. Hari Bol. अभ्यासेन मनसा शुद्धम त्रिविद्ब्रह्मक्षरम ब्रह्माक्षरम परम मनो यच्छेज्जिदाश्वासो ब्रह्म बीजम अविस्मरन्. Okay, Rupeshri Mataji and Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
can you little up? Okay, thank you Prabhuji. Ab अभ्यासेन अभ्यासेन मनसा शुद्धं त्रिवृत् ब्रह्मा ब्रह्माक्षरं परं मनो यच्छेत् जिता स्वासो ब्रह्म बीजम् अविस्मरम्.
Translation.
After sitting in the above manner, make the mind remember the three transcendental letters A, U, Om, and by regulating the breathing process, control the mind so as not to forget the transcendental seed. Hare Krishna.
So after sitting in the above manner, we make the mind remember the three transcendental letters A, U, M, Om, Om, and by regulating the breathing process, control the mind so as not to forget the transcendental seed. Omkara or the Pranava, okay, is a seed of transcendental realization. and it is composed of the three transcendental letters A, U, M. By its chanting by the mind in conjunction with the breathing process, which is a transcendental but mechanical way of getting into trance, as devised by the experience of great mystics, one is able to bring the mind which is materially absorbed under control. This is the way of changing the habit of the mind. The mind is not to be killed. Mind or desire cannot be stopped, but to develop a desire to function for spiritual realization, the quality of engagement by the mind has to be changed. So this is a process, artificial process, to bring the mind under control and engage the mind in transcendental uh, method. Okay, remembering the Supreme Lord by the Pranava mantra Omkara. Okay, so otherwise the mind will be totally engaged in material activities. So this is a process, the asana, the breathing techniques, and other methods, other angas of the Ashtanga Yoga. So this is how we have to bring our mind onto the transcendental form of the Lord, or the uh, Pranava mantra or Omkara. So the mind is not to be killed. Okay, mind or desire cannot be stopped, but to develop a desire to function for spiritual realization, quality of engagement by the mind has to be changed. We cannot stop desiring. Can we become desireless totally? It is not possible. It is not at all possible. Some desire will always be there, whether it is material or spiritual. Desire cannot be stopped, and the function of the mind also cannot be stopped. So what we can do is we can just dovetail all the function of that mind into spiritual matters, so that we can engage and we can control the mind, and it will not deviate from the transcendental subject matter. So mind is the pivot of the active sense organs. So sixth sense is the mind. After the five gross senses, the fifth one is mind. So the mind has to control other senses. So the main culprit is the mind. If you use that mind in a good way, it is a friend. If you use the mind not in a good way, that means if we neglect the mind desires, and if it doesn't engage or control that mind, mind will become our enemy. So that's why in Bhagavad Gita is a very, very famous verse: Uddharet atmanatmanam na atmanam avasadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmana. So we have to make our mind our friend, not an enemy. If the mind is not engaging the senses in devotional service, what will happen? The mind will become our enemy, and that mind will become a reason for our continuous stay in this material world, bound to this material world. So if we can elevate that mind and become a friend, that mind will control the senses, and that will be the reason for our liberation from this material world. So this mind plays a very important role in our life. So we have to control the mind. So it is difficult to control the mind. So it is easy to engage the mind. Okay, just like when the children are playing with some something dangerous, some knife or something, what do? Slowly we take that and we give something else, some toys, so that it is not danger for them. Similarly, we are playing with fire, our mind is playing with fire, that means material sense gratificatory activities. So we cannot be idle. We have desire, we have to do something, we have to just change that. From that material desire we have to give something higher desire, that is devotional service to Supreme Lord. So the mind is the pivot of the active sense organs, and as such, if the quality of thinking, feeling, and willing is changed, naturally the quality of actions by the instrumental senses will also change. The mind has three aspects: thinking, willing, and feeling. Okay, if we can you know if we can control that thinking, willing, and feeling, what will happen? The quality of actions by the instrumental senses also will change. So whatever the mind is willing, thinking, and feeling, consequently the senses also will react to that. So if our thinking, feeling, and willing are good, then naturally the senses also will be engaging in such activities which are good for us. Omkara is the seed of all transcendental sound, and it is only the transcendental sound which can bring about the desired change of the mind and the senses. Because when we utter the name of the Supreme Lord, okay, Krishna, Govinda, Om, whatever it is, what happened? A positive change, positive consciousness will develop. Okay, till then, till we practice such devotional activities, our mind will be always absorbed in material sense gratification. So there should be a shift required from material sense gratificatory activities to spiritual activities, which is actually, on the higher platform. When we get the taste in the spiritual activities, initially it may be boring. It may be something like a bitter gourd juice, but the result, especially those who are having diabetes, the bitter gourd juice is very nice. It is bitter, we know it, but as you take it, your diabetes will go away. So the nectar at the end. So devotional service is also like that. It may be boring because we have been doing this sense gratification from time immemorial. So we don't have the taste for devotional activities. So it may take time. So initially we may have to do it artificially, but then slowly and gradually, by the mercy of the Guru and by the mercy of Lord Krishna and by the mercy of all the Vaishnavas, will develop the taste. And we can stay, and we can go get stronger and stronger day after day. So even a mentally deranged man can be cured by treatment of transcendental sound. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Pranava Omkara has been accepted as the direct, literal representation of the Supreme Absolute Truth. So Vedas, the Omkara, the Pranava Mantra, is the direct representation of the Supreme Absolute Truth. That is Suhita Avataram. Suhita Avataram is a literary incarnation. So all this Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita and the Omkara is all the literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord, isn't it? So this is the literal representation. Omkara is the literal representation. One who is not able to chant directly the holy name of the Lord, as recommended above, can easily chant the Pranava Omkara. Omkara is a note of address, such as, O my Lord, just as Om Hari Om means, O my Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what is the difference between taking the name of the Lord and Omkara? One is the primary name, other one is secondary name. So secondary name has a secondary effect. So it is always better to take the primary name. Okay, the gopis of Vrindavana, Yashoda Mai and Nanda Maharaj and all the inhabitants of Vrindavana never called him Om, Omkara, Krishna, isn't it? He called Govinda, Gopala, Gopijana Vallabha, Gopinatha, okay, like that. So they did not utter Om, Omi. Of course, the Vedic Panditas, the Vedantis always chanted with Om, all the Vedic hymns. But more than the Vedic Panditas, okay, the Vedantis, who got the mercy? The Patnis of the Vedantis, isn't it? Because their dealing with the Supreme Lord is very intimate dealing. Whereas the dealings of the Vedantis were on a ritualistic level. So the Pranava Mantra, the Omkara is a secondary name. So it's always better to call the Supreme Lord, address the Supreme Lord with name that is associated with his Leela. Lord likes it. Damodara. When Lord is called, addressed as a Damodara, okay, Yashoda Nandana, Nanda Nandana, Devaki Nandana, Vasudeva Nandana, God is so pleased. God is not pleased when we call him as Om. It is a secondary name. So the Omkara is a note to address such as, O my Lord, just as Om Hari Om means my Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As we have explained before, the Lord's holy name is identical with the Lord himself. So also is Omkara. But persons who are unable to realize the transcendental personal form or name of the Lord, on account of their imperfect senses. In other words, the neophytes are trained to the practice of self-realization by this mechanical process of regulating the breathing function and simultaneously repeating the pranava onkara within the mind. So this is for the person neophyte devotees who are not trained to understand the Supreme Lord as a transcendental form, and he has got transcendental names, attributes, so and so forth. So this is meant for them. It's not wrong. Okay. Slowly and gradually, they will come to the platform and understanding that Lord is a person and he has innumerable, countless names connected to his different leelas. As we have several times expressed, since the transcendental name, form, attributes, pastimes, etc. of the personality of Godhead are impossible to understand with the present material senses, it is necessary that through the mind, the center of sensual activities, such transcendental realization be set into motion. The devotees directly fix their minds on the person of the absolute truth, but one who is unable to accommodate such personal features of the absolute is disciplined in impersonality to train the mind to make further progress. So this is an impersonal sound vibration of the Supreme Lord. Om is impersonal. Okay, Govinda is personal. So these are the differences. So it is not wrong, but at the same time, they, especially the jnanis, they utter this transcendental pranava mantra or onkara mantra. But devotees, they would like to call, address the Supreme Lord with the names connected to different leelas. Hare Krishna. So, any comments or suggestions? Haribol?
Haribol Prabhu.
It's clear. Satkirti Prabhu, want to share
Yes, Prabhuji.
Want to share
Yes,
something?
Prabhu. Nothing, Prabhu.
Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Krishna. So we'll read 18. नियच्छेद विषयेभ्यो क्षान् मनसा बुद्धि सारथि मन कर्मभिराक्षिप्तम् सुभर्ते धारये धिया. Okay. Satkirti Prabhu and Mataji.
नियचेद्विषभ्योक्षान् मनसा बुद्धिसारथिः मनः कर्माभिराक्षिप्तम् शुभार्थे धारयेद्धिया.
Translation. Gradually, as the mind becomes progressively spiritualized, withdraw it from sense activities, and by intelligence, the senses will be controlled. The mind, too absorbed in material activities, can be engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead and become fixed in full transcendental consciousness. Right?
Very good. Gradually, as the mind becomes progressively spiritualized, withdraw it from sense activities, and by intelligence, the senses will be controlled. The mind, too absorbed in material activities, can be engaged service of the personality of Godhead and become fixed in full transcendental consciousness. The first process of spiritualizing the mind by mechanical chanting of the pranava, onkara, and by control of the breathing system is technically called the mystic or yogic process of pranayama, or fully controlling the breathing air. So this is detailing the pranayama process, yogic process, Ashtanga yoga process. The ultimate state of this pranayama system is to be fixed in trance. So ultimately, we have to go to the platform of samadhi, trance, technically called samadhi. Okay? But experience has proven that even the samadhi stage also fails to control the material absorbed mind. Because it's a very good process, but again, Prabhupada says experience has proven that even the samadhi stage also fails to control the materially absorbed mind. Who is the example? Who is the example here?
Vishwamitra Muni.
Vishwamitra Muni. Okay. For example, the great mystic Vishwamitra Muni, even in the stage of Samadhi, became a victim of the senses and cohabited with Menaka. History has already recorded this. The mind, although ceasing to think of sensual activities at present, remembers past sensual activities from the subconscious status and thus disturbs one from uh, 100% engagement in self-realization. Therefore, Sukdev Goswami recommends the next step of assured policy, namely to fix one's mind in the service of the Supreme, service of the Personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, also recommends this direct process in the Bhagavad Gita 6.47. Thus, the mind being spiritually cleansed, one should at once engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord by the different devotional service of hearing, chanting, etc. If performed under proper guidance, that is the surest path of progress even for the disturbed mind. So, a person of Vishwamitra Muni cadre even could not control his desire. He was artificially trying to control the mind, okay, doing all the Ashtanga process. He was in Samadhi, but just by the hearing of the tinkling sound of the ankle bell of Menaka, he felt, prey, isn't it? That to that attraction. So here Sukadeva Goswami is telling, it is better to always not try to control the mind artificially, but engage the mind and other senses in devotional service. So the risk is less. The example, who is the example for that? Who is the example for that? A person who has engaged all his mind and senses in the devotional service and was not allured by Maya Devi.
Haridas Thakur, Prabhuji.
Haridas Thakur.
Haridas Thakur, yes. So Vishwamitra Maharshi versus Haridas Thakur. Vishwamitra Maharshi was a jnani. He was trying to control the mind and senses through artificial means. He failed, miserably failed. But whereas Haridas Thakur, nothing, no artificial, way of controlling the mind or anything, but simply chanting the holy name of the Lord and engaging his senses in his devotional service by chanting the holy name of the Lord. So Maya Devi herself tried to allure him, and the Muslim king also sent, a prostitute to take him away from the devotional path. Both did not work, isn't it? That is the the determination of the devotees of the Supreme Lord. So Bhakti Yoga is always a better process. So that's why Sukadeva Goswami is recommending Bhakti Yoga rather than Jnana Yoga. It's not that it's not good, but then it is, what is the problem in Bhakti? What is the problem in Jnana Yoga? It is our own endeavor. We are trying to put in effort, our own effort, and the result of our own effort may be that high. But when we depend upon the mercy of Supreme Lord, that's different. Isn't it? Somebody is telling, I will do it myself with my own effort. I don't want anybody's help. I don't want anybody's blessings. That person will not achieve. But at the same time, the person, yes, I will try my level best. Please bless me. Your blessing should be there. Your prayers should be there. Okay? So that is the best one. We are trying, put in our own effort. At the same time, we are seeking the blessings of other senior Vaishnavas, Guru and Krishna. So that works better. Not only our effort, the blessings and prayers of, because they're also putting their tapabala to bless us so that everything will become successful. Not that, no, I can do anything and everything. I don't need your help. Okay, I don't need your blessings. What is your blessing going to do? Unless and until I put in effort, it is me. I'm doing it. So that sort of, so if this Jnana Yoga or this Ashtanga Yoga, it's a mechanical process on their own strength. Something goes wrong, everything collapses. But devotee depends upon the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So that's the difference between Jnanis and the Bhaktas. And it should be, that's why, if performed under proper guidance, that is the surest path of progress, even for the disturbed mind. Even though our mind and senses are disturbed, if we are doing the devotional service under proper guidance, the mercy of the Supreme Lord is always there. The mercy of the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas also will always be there. And so we should always take shelter of a Vaishnava, and we should always take shelter of the holy name of the Lord. Okay. So any comments, or you want to share something? Rajeshwara Prabhu, anything?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay, we'll go to the next. Tatreka vayavam dhyayed ayuchinena chetasam mano nirvishayam yuktva tatha kinchana nasmaret padam tat paramam vishnur mano yatra prasidati. Rajeshwara Prabhu. Prabhuji, you can. Rajeshwara Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Tatra kaiva daya avayichinnena chetasa mano nirveyam yuktava tatta kinchana smarat padmat tat paramat viswano manoyat parasidat.
Sujay Chandra Prabhu, translation.
Thereafter, you should meditate upon the limbs of Vishnu, one after another, without being deviated from the conception of the complete body. Thus, the mind becomes free from all sense objects. There should be no other thing to be thought upon, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is the ultimate truth. The mind becomes completely reconciled in him only. Hare Krishna.
Thereafter, you should meditate upon the limbs of Vishnu, one after another, without being deviated from the conception of the complete body. Thus, the mind becomes free from all sense objects. There should be no other thing to be thought upon, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is the ultimate truth. The mind becomes completely reconciled in him. Okay. So, who is the ultimate truth? Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu is the ultimate truth. Foolish persons, bewildered by the external energy of Vishnu, do not know that the ultimate goal of the progressive search after happiness is to get in touch directly with Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. Vishnu Tattva is an unlimited expansion of different transcendental forms of the personality of Godhead, and the supreme or original form of Vishnu Tattva is Govinda, or Lord Krishna, supreme cause of all causes. We should understand the different tattvas. Okay, there is Vishnu Tattva, there is Shakti Tattva, there is Shiva Tattva, there is Jiva Tattva. Okay. So one should not mix up all these tattvas. We cannot compare the Jiva Tattvas to be Vishnu Tattva. Okay. Even in Panchatattva, you'll find all tattvas. Okay, there is Shakti Tattva, there is Jiva Tattva, there is Vishnu Tattva, all are there. Who is the Jiva Tattva there in the Panchatattva?
Narada Muni.
Who? Who is Jiva Tattva and Pancha Tattva? Srivas.
Brahma Prabhu?
Srivas is Narada
Srivas.
Muni, na Prabhuji.
Sorry, Narada Muni.
Narada Muni, yeah. Okay, Prabhu. I had a doubt, Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay, Narada Muni. Okay, Narada Muni is the Jiva Tattva. Okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Vishnu Tattva and Nityananda Prabhu is Vishnu Tattva. Guru Tattva also. Nityananda Prabhu is Guru Tattva, but he is Vishnu Tattva only. And Advaita Acharya is also combined Vishnu Tattva and Shiva Tattva also, because it is a combined form of Vishnu and Sadashiva. Okay, and who else? Gadadhara is Shakti Tattva is Radharani representing. Okay, and who is that? Yeah, Srivasa Acharya is who? Jiva Tattva, Narada Muni.
Narada Maharshi.
Okay, so here, so who are the worshipable? Only Vishnu Tattvas. Okay. All Vishnu Tattvas are worshipable. All others are respectable. Okay. We can adore them, but worshipable is Pujaniya is only the Vishnu Tattvas. We can adore, we can appreciate, we can respect, all these things we can do. Because they are not ordinary people, they are exalted devotees of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. Lord Shiva is not in Jiva Tattva, not in Shakti Tattva, not in Vishnu Tattva. He is a special Tattva, that is Shiva Tattva. Okay. So in Brahma Samhita we all know. So what is the difference between Vishnu and Shiva? Means one is milk, other one is curd. Okay. From milk we can make curd, but curd cannot become milk. Okay. We get the curd from the milk, but can we make milk from the curd? No. So that is the difference in Brahma Samhita. Lord Brahma is telling. Okay. Is curd milk? Yes, in a way. In a way, it's because it's derived from milk only, but curd is not milk also. So both ways. So Shiva Tattva is a special Tattva. So all the Vishnu Tattvas are worshipable as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So only difference, in exhibiting in qualities. So all the Vishnu Tattvas will not exhibit all the qualities, just like how Krishna or Govinda exhibits all the qualities simultaneously. So that's only different. It's not that they are incomplete, they don't exhibit. So Vishnu Tattva is an unlimited expansion. So Lord Krishna or Govinda expands unlimitedly in his own, separated forms as Vishnu Tattva. But the original is Govinda or Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karana. So that is clear. So therefore, thinking of Vishnu or meditating upon the transcendent form of Vishnu, specifically upon Lord Krishna, is the last word on the subject of meditation. The meditation may be begun from the lotus feet of the Lord. One should not, however, forget or be misled from the complete form of the Lord. So the meditation should start from the lotus feet of the Lord, slowly and gradually rise to the lotus face of the Lord. Okay, but at the same time, we should not forget the complete form of the Lord. Thus, one should practice thinking of the different parts of his transcendental body, one after another. Here in this verse, it is definitely assured that the Supreme Lord is not impersonal. He is a person, but his body is different from those of conditioned persons like us. He is a person. What's the difference between us? We are also a person. He is the Supreme Person. His body is not like that of us, which is made up of gross material elements. His body is transcendental, divyam. Okay, janma karma cha me divyam. So he has taken birth as transcendental. His body is transcendental. His activities are transcendental. His attributes are transcendental. His leelas are transcendental. Everything about the Supreme Lord is transcendental. And everything about us, except if you are doing devotional service, is material. Okay. So here in this verse, it is definitely assured that the Supreme Lord is not impersonal. He is a person, but his body is different from those of conditional persons like us. Otherwise, meditation beginning from the Pranava, Omkara up to the limbs of the personal body of Vishnu would not have been recommended by Sukadeva Goswami for the attainment of complete spiritual perfection. The Vishnu forms of worship in great temples of India are not therefore arrangements of idol worship, as they are wrongly interpreted to be by a class of men with a poor fund of knowledge. Rather, they are different spiritual centers of meditation on the transcendental limbs of the body of Vishnu. So one should not be misled by the teachings of so-called transcendentalists that this is an idol worship. Okay. Krishna, when he comes into this material world, he take the form of a human being, or he can take the form of any other species. Okay, but still his form is transcendental. It is not matter. We should understand that it very clearly. So many people will misguide us, mislead us, telling that this is an idol worship. Just that for your convenience to focus on a particular object, this form is created, but it's not like that. In the scriptures, very vivid explanation or clear indication is given that the Supreme Lord has a transcendental form, and in the material world he facilitates us to see him in that transcendental form. Okay, that Archa Vigraha, because with our senses we cannot see the transcendental form. So he facilitates to come in that Archa Vigraha so that we can do devotional service. But once we invoke the form of the Lord into that Vigraha, that becomes enlivened and it's worth worshipping, as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Archa Vigraha in the temple. Okay. After doing the Prana Pratishtha as per the vidhis of the scriptures, the Lord is there. For those who believe in that, those who have conviction, the Lord is definitely there. Those who see that is a mere stone or a wood or some metal, yes, for them the Lord is like that only. Tathastu. The Lord will not be manifested for them. For those devotees who has unflinching faith and conviction that Lord stays in that form, in the Archa Vigraha form, the Lord is there, visible, and the Lord will reciprocate to such devotees only. The Lord will not reciprocate those who doesn't believe the Lord is present in such Vigraha. So that is a different. He reserves the complete right. We cannot dictate to the Lord, oh, please come and be present before me. He reserves the complete right whether to be present or not to be present. So he will be present to only devotees. For others, he is mere stone only. He will not reciprocate. Okay, and the worshipable deity in the temple of Vishnu is identical with Lord Vishnu by the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Therefore, a neophyte's concentration or meditation upon the limbs of Vishnu in the temple, as contemplated in the revealed scriptures, is an easy opportunity for meditation for persons who are unable to sit down tightly at one place and then concentrate upon Pranava, Onkara, or the limbs of the body of Vishnu, as recommended herein by Sukadeva Goswami, the great authority. So Sukadeva Goswami is, instructing all of us, telling all of us, please concentrate on the personal form of the Supreme Lord. So the Pranava Onkara mantra is just for the neophyte devotee to slowly and gradually progress to the level of worship of the personal form. The common man can benefit more by meditating on the form of Vishnu in the temple than on the Onkara, the spiritual combination of Om, as explained before. There is no difference between Omkara and the forms of Vishnu, but persons unacquainted with the science of absolute truth try to create dissension by differentiating between the forms of Vishnu and that of Omkara. Here it is indicated that the Vishnu form is the ultimate goal of meditation, and as such it is better to concentrate upon the forms of Vishnu than on impersonal Omkara. The later process is also more difficult than the former. So the concentration on the impersonal form is very, very difficult. It's not that easy. So when Lord is giving us very, very easy process and which is sublime also, why not take it up? No, just to concentrate something void, very difficult. So there is an object. It's easy for us also. And that object is the highest truth also, absolute truth also. So that's what Sukadeva Goswami is explaining to us in this verse. Any comments? Or you want to share something? Padma Mukhi Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Nalakkana Prabhuji.
Anything to share?
Yes, Prabhuji, I have little, I didn't get clarity in that line, Prabhuji. But therefore, a neophyte's concentration or meditation upon the limbs of Vishnu in the temple, as contemplated in the revealed scriptures, is an easy opportunity for meditation for persons who are unable to sit down tightly at one place. Okay. So that some are doing Davam Prabhuji meditation.
Yeah.
They are concentrating on Pranava only,
Mantra Om, yeah.
Omkara.
Yeah, Omkara.
But they are concentrating on this also, Prabhuji, Krishna's form or any other like Govinda, like that they are telling Prabhuji.
Yes. So this the yogis, they are always, meditating. Oh, oh, that is a meditation. So if you see the yogis, they will be, silently meditating on this pranava mantra. Okay, sitting on a secluded place. Okay, away from all attractions, always concentrating or focusing on that. So we are talking about those yogis. But nowadays, no yogis, only bhogis. Okay, so you don't find.
Recently, yes, Prabhuji, recently one video in our Krishna Kids, Manasi Mataji circulated one video. In that one senior most Acharya in Sri Sampradaya, I think Mataji also has Shanta Mataji. One senior most Acharya, like Velukudi, more than Velukudi. And he was admiring about our Prabhupada Prabhuji. Very nice video, that one. Admiring means too much he was telling about within 50 years and this ISKCON one movement was growing, Ashura growing too much. It's growing very, very fast. But our people simply in the same phase only. We are telling always, they don't know, we know everything. In the same attitude is in our Sri Sampradaya. That's why we are not at all growing. I think he was admiring Prabhupada's movement and how we are doing all the things, how they are developing that bhakti. They are taking this much, they are reading Bhagavad Gita daily, Bhagavatam like that. He was admiring more Prabhuji.
Yeah, it's a fact also, Mataji, because devotees, and especially that's the mercy of Prabhupada and the previous acharyas, Vaishnava acharyas also, they are taking a lot of effort, to spread this. It is a simple process. Who cannot do this process? Not that you don't. We are not telling you go to the forest, sacred place, leave everything. Wherever sthane sthiti, wherever we are, we can practice devotion. So simple Prabhupada has made for all of us. Only just disciplining ourselves. That's all. Nothing else. Nobody is telling. Prabhupada never told, you leave your job and go to the jungle or, wear the kashaya vastra and do that. No, he was so practical. Anybody, any ashrama, any varna, they can take up this service. So only thing is, he has restricted unnecessary sense enjoyment. It is which is really good for us. So that regulation he has brought, which no one else has brought. Even though there are regulations for them, that they are not instructing their disciples or followers strictly. But here, it's very simple process. They are attracted to the philosophy, they are attracted to the prasadam, they are attracted to singing and dancing, At the same time, they are regulating also, isn't it? So everybody is taking it up. Although it's very difficult for all of us to leave the sense gratification, but once we understand the philosophy nicely and the benefit behind that, everybody is willing to take that, accept that. So this is, everyone, when we know this, we are trying to give it to others, which is not happening in other sampradaya. They are keeping it themselves. The spreading is not that way. I think that's when we maybe one of the reason we want to give it to others, isn't it?
Right.
It's not that we want to keep it as okay. I will. This is let me enjoy. I don't want to give to Sujay Gaurachand Prabhu. Why should I give? Let me enjoy. No, that's not the mentality of Krishna devotees. They want to give. I am enjoying. Why not others? So this tendency is there. Even though we may not be perfect, we are still in the material world. We are still enjoying senses. It's everything is rough, but still, whatever little we know, we want to give it. Good, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Any other points? Sujay Prabhu, Rupeshri Mataji.
Hari Bol Prabhu, all clear Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna
Text.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, Rajesha Prabhu.
Vishnu Tattva, how to identify Prabhuji? Like, the Lord Krishna in the 64 qualities, right?
Vishnu
Then come to
Tattva, see, in the
Vishnu
material world,
60
yeah.
something quality.
No, not from that. We cannot find out Vishnu Tattva like that. So, in the material world, when Lord descends in different forms, see, for example, all the avatars, except some Shakti-avesh avatara, let's say all its expansions. For example, you take any avatar. Let us take the avatars. Purusha avatara, okay. Guna avatara, some, because Guna we know Trimurti is there, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. So Brahma is Jiva Tattva, Shiva is Shiva Tattva, and Vishnu is Vishnu Tattva. Okay, and there is Yuga avatars, there is Manvantara avatars, there are Leela avatars, Shakti Avesh avatars. Shakti Avesh avatara, sometimes Lord himself comes, sometimes he empowers living entities. Okay, so we cannot categorize like that, but we should be able to know. It's not difficult, I think. Shakti Tattva is definitely Radharani is the spiritual energy, and when she comes to the material world, she becomes the external energy like Parvati and all. So she is Shakti Tattva. No, Krishna, see, Krishna, the Supreme Lord is Krishna, Balaram is expansion, is also Vishnu Tattva, and the further expansion is Chaturvyuha, that is Shankarshna, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Then Narayana comes, another Chaturvyuha comes, then Mahavishnu comes, then Garbhasai Vishnu comes, Shirosai Vishnu comes. So this is all Vishnu Tattva only. And Matsya Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana, like that. It's all Leela avatars, all Vishnu Tattva only. Parashurama, I think, is Shakti Avesh avatara. Okay. Rama is again Vishnu Tattva. Okay. Buddha is also, yes, Lord's incarnation, Buddha. Not the Buddha of the current, the Avatara Buddha. There are two Buddhas. And Kalki, of course. So Vishnu Tattvas are, the expansions and the expansion of the expansion of the expansion sometimes, like that. Is it clear, Prabhuji?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Vyasadeva is Shakti Avesh Avatara. Okay. So Vyasa is a position again. So sometimes Vyasadeva can be some empowered personality also. It can be an empowered personality, but it's Lord's literary incarnation. Shakti Avesha Avatara. We can also say Srila Prabhupada, Shakti Avesha, because he has been empowered. He is not ordinary person like us. We are empowered to eat. All the three times. But Srila Prabhupada has been empowered to impart the knowledge, the right knowledge. So we can consider him as empowered representative. Okay. And all the demigods of this material world, they're all Jiva Tattvas. Indra, Varuna, Vayu, Chandra, Surya, Soma, all these things. They are all appointed representatives of this material world to manage the universal affairs. Sometimes when there is no proper person to be appointed as so and the Lord himself comes. For example, Surya Narayan. Okay, Surya Narayan, Narayan himself comes in the post of Brahma. Suppose there is no person fit enough to take up that role, that portfolio, the Lord can come. Just like in the in the ministry, the Prime Minister takes the portfolio of Home Minister or Defense Minister. Is no suitable candidate available. Sometimes that's also happening. And Manvantara Avadara, every Manu's reign, the Lord appears. Okay, every Manu's reign, the Lord appears. Yajna, Hamsa, what is that? Haigriva, so many are there, so many names. It's unlimited. It's very difficult for us. Anyway, for us, we don't have to be worried. Krishna, Govinda, Rama, Narasimha are all there, all Vishnu Tattva only. And the topmost is Krishna and Govinda. Okay. Text 20. Rajastamobhyam akshiptam vimudham mana atmanah yached dharanaya dhiro andiyat yatat kritam malam. Okay, Padmamukhi Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Rajastamobhyam akshiptam vimudam mana atmana yacchedharanaya dhiro hanti yatat kritam manam.
Translation also, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Translation. One's mind is always agitated by the passionate mode of material nature and bewildered by the ignorant mode of nature. But one can rectify such conceptions by the relation of Vishnu and thus become pacified by cleansing the dirty things created by them.
Haribol. One's mind is always agitated by the passionate mode of material nature and bewildered by the ignorant mode of nature. But one can rectify such conceptions by the creation of Vishnu, by the relation of Vishnu, and thus become pacified by cleansing the dirty things created by them. Therefore, persons generally conducted by the modes of passion and ignorance cannot be bona fide candidates for being situated in the transcendental stage of God realization. Only persons conducted by the mode of goodness can have the knowledge of the supreme truth. Effects of the modes of passion and ignorance are manifested by too much hankering after wealth and women. And those who are too much after wealth and women can rectify their learnings only by constant remembrance of Vishnu in his feature composed of impersonal potencies. So for those who are in the mode of ignorance passion, it's very difficult for them to accept the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. For them, the easy way to focus is on the impersonal potency of the Supreme Lord. For those who are in the mode of goodness, they can accept the personal feature and it is easy for them to focus. Generally, the impersonalists or monists are influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance. So who are the impersonalists? Who doesn't believe in the form of the Supreme. And who are the monists? Who thinks that they themselves are God. I am Narayana, you are Narayana. Okay, they are influenced generally. It's not that generally that is the case by the modes of passion and ignorance. Such impersonalists think of themselves as liberated souls, but they have no knowledge of the transcendental personal feature of the supreme, of the absolute truth. Actually, they are impure in heart on account of being devoid of knowledge of the personal feature of the absolute. Why they are impure? Because they don't accept the personal feature of the absolute. In the Bhagavad Gita, It is said that after many hundreds of births, the impersonal philosopher surrenders unto the supreme, the personality of Godhead. Okay. What is that slogan? Manushanam sahasreshu kaschit etadi siddhaye etadamapi siddhanam kaschit mam meti tattva. To acquire such a qualification of God realization in the personal feature, the neophyte impersonalist is given a chance to realize the relation of the Lord in everything by the philosophy of pantheism. What is pantheism? So everything that is complete, whatever we are seeing, everything is God. The mountain is God, the river is God, the trees are God, everything pantheist, all that is called pantheism. So pantheism is higher status, does not permit the student to form an impersonal conception of the absolute truth, but it extends the conception of the absolute truth into the field of the so-called material energy. So the material energy, the prakriti itself, okay, material nature, everything created by the material energy can be doubted with the absolute by an attitude of service, which is the essential part of living entity. The pure devotee of the Lord knows the art of converting everything into its spiritual existence by this service attitude, and only in that devotional way can the theory of pantheism be perfected. Okay, so the devotee, what he does, converting everything into spiritual existence by the service attitude. So that is what devotee does. Otherwise, the whole nature, everything is, they take everything as the Supreme Lord only. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Everything is Supreme Lord. You cannot separate. Yes, in a way, we cannot separate anything from God. Everything is God only. Because directly or indirectly, it is His own energy. But at the same time, we should know behind this, there is a person. So that understanding is lacking for this monist or impersonalist or pantheist. So that's the only difference. So any comments or any points?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So this pantheism, Prabhupada is supporting or not supporting Prabhuji? Pantheism.
Not supporting.
Hmm.
Because see, they are right. See, in this material world or the spiritual world, is there anything that is separate from Krishna? Everything is Krishna. Directly or indirectly, it is energy of Krishna. So it is Krishna. But what we have to, the devotee understand, that is not the ultimate. He is a person. That is ultimate. He is Govinda, is Krishna. And whatever emanates from him, whether it is internal or external energy, that is his energy. So indirectly, everything is Krishna only. But Krishna is different from that also. The transcendent form of Krishna. For example, I as a person have built this house. Am I different from this house? Yes. But am I connected to this house through my energy?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. It is my effort. It's my, constructing this house. So I am connected indirectly to this house because it's my effort. I have done this. Similarly, if you want to separate, definitely there is a difference between this building and this house and myself. This is my energy. I have put in my effort. I have put in my money. I have put in my people and constructed. So you can in a way you can say it is my energy, but it is not me. Similarly, everything belongs to Lord Krishna. This material nature, this spiritual nature, everything belongs to Krishna, but it is not Krishna. Indirectly, you can say yes and no, both. But Krishna is aloof. Just like the governor, okay, or the prime minister is a person. but its governance is the energy. Okay, the governance is the energy, isn't it? The prime minister is not there in each and every governmental offices, but his energy as the governance is there. So in an impersonal way, he is present everywhere throughout the country, but as a person, he is there in his Goloka, aloof from all this. Is it clear, Mataji?
Very,
Yes, yes,
very
Prabhu.
nicely relatable example, Prabhu. Hari Hari Bol.
Easy example for our poor knowledge.
What is that?
You have given easy example, Prabhuji, for our poor knowledge.
So let's stop here. Next is 21. So next week, stop sharing.